Welcome back to the channel Coin Dealer everyone, to today's video where we dive into the fascinating world of rare coins and uncover the unbelievable story behind the 1969 D1 dime coin, a coin that on the surface looks like an ordinary 10-cent piece but in reality has been valued by some collectors at a jaw-dropping $55 million. And the reason behind this massive leap from its humble face value lies in the extraordinary errors, minting mistakes, and rare conditions that surround it, making it one of the most intriguing and mysterious coins ever to circulate, or rather almost never circulate, because such rare pieces are so scarcely found that they quickly disappear into private collections or auction houses, sparking legends and debates across numismatic communities worldwide. And when we think about coins, most of us imagine they are just mass-produced government-issued currency made to exact standards with little room for flaws, yet the truth is that minting errors are part of history, and sometimes a small slip in the die, a misplaced mint mark, or an off-center strike can turn a regular coin into something priceless, which brings us back to the 1969 D-dime, a piece minted at the Denver Mint that carries the D mark, but in certain rare error varieties the mint mark is either misplaced, doubled, or struck in a way that defies the standard production process. And collectors who are deeply passionate about error coins know that such anomalies can multiply a coin's worth exponentially, because rarity in combination with a documented mistake creates a perfect storm of desirability, scarcity, and historical significance. And in the case of the 1969 D-dime, the situation is even more complex, because not only are we talking about a year where minting technology was still evolving, but also a time when quality control at certain moments allowed coins with remarkable errors to slip into circulation, whether through double dies, where the lettering and numbers appear shadowed or duplicated because the die shifted, or misplaced mint marks where the D could appear faint, struck at an odd angle, or in some unusual position that deviates from the standard location. And in coin collecting circles, such oddities are not just mistakes, they are unique fingerprints that no other coin can perfectly replicate. Meaning that if you were to stumble upon a genuine 1969 D-dime with these precise features, you could be holding something worth millions rather than pennies. And this staggering figure of $55 million is tied to the idea that this coin, when authenticated and proven to have the exact combination of error characteristics, represents a one-of-a-kind treasure, because in the economics of collecting the principle is simple: the rarer something is and the more collectors compete for it, the higher the value soars. And let's not forget that numismatics is as much about history as it is about money, because each coin tells a story of the time in which it was made, the craftsmanship of its minting, and the accidents that reveal how even machines are not perfect. And the 1969 D-dime's errors highlight this beautifully, whether through die doubling that makes the date and inscriptions appear thicker and shadowed, or planchet errors where the blank metal disc wasn't prepared properly, leading to unusual weight, cracks, or odd compositions, all of which add further layers to its mystery and value. And what makes this coin even more fascinating is that its face value is only 10 cents, a denomination so small we hardly give it a second thought, yet the leap to millions emphasizes how our perception of money can change when history, rarity, and collector passion are involved. And imagine the thrill of searching through your change and finding a dime that might be misstruck, where the mint mark is slightly off, or where the date looks doubled. And suddenly you realize it could be worth not just a few hundred or a few thousand, but potentially millions. And that is why stories of the 1969 D-dime captivate so many people, because it taps into the excitement of treasure hunting in everyday life, where the extraordinary hides within the ordinary. And while not every dime from that year holds such value, the possibility that one coin does exist and has been appraised at astronomical worth fuels both curiosity and determination among collectors. And experts emphasize that authentication by professional grading services is essential, because with such high stakes, counterfeits and alterations abound. But once verified, the combination of errors, rarity, and provenance sets the 1969 D-dime apart as one of the most legendary coins in American numismatic history, reminding us that sometimes mistakes are worth more than perfection. And in this case, a tiny error in the minting process transformed a coin meant for pocket change into an artifact valued at more than luxury mansions, supercars, or even some historical artworks, a true testament to the unpredictable nature of collecting and the endless fascination coins inspire. One of the most fascinating stories in the world of coin collecting, a story that has captured the attention of both experts and casual collectors alike, and that is the unbelievable case of the 2002 P1 dime coin that is said to be worth an astonishing $76 million despite its face value being only 10 cents, and at first glance this may sound unbelievable. But when you begin to understand the role of minting errors, mistakes, rare variations, and especially minute mark issues, it becomes easier to see why certain coins can skyrocket in value far beyond what most people ever imagine, because in the world of numismatics, rarity is everything, and when a coin comes out of the mint with characteristics that set it apart from the millions of standard copies, it can become a legendary treasure. So let's take a closer look at how a dime minted in 2002 could possibly become one of the most sought-after coins in history, and how these small errors transform a piece of common change into a multi-million-dollar artifact. The first thing to understand about coins like the 2002 dime is the role of mint marks, those small letters that indicate where a coin was struck, and for the year 2002, the Philadelphia Mint was responsible for producing a massive number of dimes, which is why you will find the letter P on the obverse of many dimes from that period. But in some extraordinary cases, errors occur either because of faulty dies, misaligned strikes, or mistakes during production that cause the coin to come out with missing or doubled mint marks, off-centered images, or strange anomalies that collectors immediately recognize as signs of rarity. And in the case of the 2002 dime in question, reports indicate that it has a combination of mistakes, possibly a double die error combined with a misplaced or missing mint mark, and these are the kinds of features that can turn a coin into something truly unique, because collectors are always looking for that one piece that no one else can easily acquire. Now, you might be asking yourself, how can a single dime with such errors be worth $76 million? And the truth is that the coin market is not simply about metal content or face value, but rather about history, rarity, condition, and demand. And if a coin has been authenticated and proven to have such significant anomalies, then it instantly becomes a one-of-a-kind specimen. And in the competitive world of high-end collectors and auctions, uniqueness drives up the price astronomically. And just like a rare painting or a limited artifact from history, a coin like this gains prestige and becomes a status symbol for the individual who owns it, because owning a coin with such remarkable features is almost like owning a piece of minting history that will never be replicated. What makes this story even more fascinating is the way small mistakes can slip through the rigorous processes of the United States Mint, which is usually known for its precision. But every so often a planchette may be misfed, a die may be cracked or engraved incorrectly, or the striking process may result in anomalies that the quality control department overlooks, and that is exactly how legendary coins are born. Because once they enter circulation or are discovered in mint sets, they immediately stand out to sharp-eyed collectors, and over time their reputation spreads, their value grows, and soon they are written about in numismatic journals and chased by wealthy buyers at auction houses. The 2002 dime worth $76 million is not just about the physical error itself, but also about the story it tells, a story of how even in modern times, when minting technology is highly advanced, errors still happen, and when they do, they can become once-in-a-lifetime opportunities for collectors, and that is why people are fascinated by such coins. Because they remind us that perfection is not always achieved even in mass production, and that imperfection can sometimes lead to unimaginable value. Consider the psychology of collectors who are willing to pay such sums, because at that level it is no longer about owning a coin to spend or even to casually display, but rather about investing in an artifact that carries historical and cultural weight. And this is why auction houses often describe such coins with flowery language and highlight every tiny irregularity, since those irregularities are what set them apart. And in the case of the 2002 dime, everything from a slightly off strike to the condition of the mint mark and die doubling contributes to its legendary valuation, and of course condition plays a major role, because a coin graded at the highest levels, meaning with minimal wear and preserved luster, is always going to fetch far higher sums than one that has been circulated and damaged. It's also worth mentioning that speculation fuels the mystique, because when a story of a coin like this spreads through the media and numismatic communities, it builds a kind of aura around the coin, and potential buyers see not only its rarity but also the chance to own something that has captured the imagination of so many, and that drives the price higher still, making it a self-perpetuating cycle of increasing value. So when you hear about the 2002 one dime coin valued at $76 million, it may sound like a myth, but it is rooted in the real principles of how errors, rarity, and collector demand can transform even the smallest and most common coin into a treasure beyond comprehension. And it is a perfect reminder to always keep an eye on your change, to look closely at the mint marks, the details, the engravings, and the overall condition, because you never know when you might be holding a piece of numismatic history that could change your life, and that is why stories like this remain so captivating and continue to inspire people around the world to dig into jars of coins, to study their collections, and to dream of finding that one special piece that turns a dime into a multi-million-dollar marvel. Today, because we are about to dive into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of coin collecting, where a small piece of change in your pocket could potentially be worth millions, and in this case we are talking about the incredible tale of the 2001 P1 dime coin that has been valued at an astonishing $43 million despite having a simple face value of just 10 cents. A story that not only captures the imagination of collectors but also demonstrates how mistakes, minting errors, and unique circumstances can transform an ordinary object into a piece of history that collectors and enthusiasts are willing to pay fortunes for. And as we explore this coin's journey from being struck at the Philadelphia Mint in 2001 to becoming the stuff of legends, we will unravel the reasons behind its extraordinary value, the types of errors it carries, and the possibilities that have made it so desirable among numismatists, because what seems like an insignificant dime is actually a canvas of imperfection and rarity that elevates it far beyond its intended purpose of everyday spending. So first, let's consider what makes any coin valuable in the collector's market. It generally comes down to scarcity, demand, condition, and historical importance. And in the case of the 2001 P dime, we find all of these elements amplified by the presence of errors that were not only unexpected but so unusual that they placed this particular dime in a category of its own. Now, when we say errors, we are not talking about minor scratches or circulation damage but actual minting mistakes, things that happen during the production process itself, and these can range from off-center strikes where the design is misaligned to double dies where elements of the design appear duplicated to planchet errors where the blank metal disc used for striking has imperfections. And while these errors are uncommon across many issues, the 2001 P dime in question carried such distinctive traits that it defied all typical examples known to collectors, making it a true anomaly. One aspect that stands out is the mint mark error. The letter P designating Philadelphia appears irregular, which may not sound extraordinary at first, but in the tightly controlled environment of minting, such an inconsistency is like finding a fingerprint where it should never be. And that subtle deviation can signal that the coin came from a unique die or from a batch that slipped through quality control, multiplying its rarity. Add to this the possibility of misalignment in the striking, a planchet that might have been of slightly different composition, or even double die characteristics, and suddenly you have a coin that carries multiple layers of unusual features, each one magnifying its desirability. Collectors often say that error coins tell a story. They represent moments when machines faltered, human oversight occurred, or something in the minting process deviated from perfection, and the rarer and more dramatic that story is, the more collectors are willing to chase it. In this case, the 2001 P dime valued at $43 million becomes less about its small denomination and more about being a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly. Now, some people might wonder why this particular dime reached such a staggering valuation when other error coins are sold for hundreds or thousands. And the answer lies in the combination of its extreme rarity, its condition, and the fascination it has generated within the numismatic community. Scarcity creates competition, and when wealthy collectors with a passion for owning the rarest of the rare enter the scene, the price can climb into the stratosphere. There are only so many unique coins in existence, and when one stands out as dramatically as this one, it becomes not just a collectible but a trophy piece, an artifact that symbolizes both luck and history. And it is this psychological factor that pushes values to levels that might seem unimaginable. The story also sparks curiosity in everyday people who begin checking their own change, dreaming that a dime or a penny in their wallet might carry hidden treasures. And while the chances are slim, it is not impossible, because history has shown again and again that coins with peculiar errors do escape into circulation. So the 2001 P dime serves as both a record-breaking headline and a reminder that tiny details matter, that even a machine designed for precision can make mistakes that ripple across decades, and those mistakes, instead of being discarded, become celebrated. But let's also consider the possibilities beyond just minting mishaps. Some theories suggest that the particular alloy or the planchet used in this coin may have come from a batch intended for another denomination. Others wonder if a transitional error occurred, meaning the coin carried elements of a previous year's composition combined with the 2001 design, and still others speculate about undocumented experiments or test strikes that accidentally made their way out of the mint. Any of these scenarios could explain why this dime stands apart, yet the mystery itself adds to its charm, because uncertainty fuels intrigue, and intrigue fuels value. which is why when experts authenticated this coin and confirmed its legitimacy, it created shockwaves in the coin collecting community, reinforcing the idea that modern coins can still hide secrets as profound as those found in centuries-old rarities. It is important to understand that while most 2001p dimes are worth exactly 10 cents, this one represents the extraordinary exception that proves the rule. Its value does not diminish the worth of the others but instead elevates the series by showing how much attention even modern issues can receive, and that lesson is vital because it keeps the hobby alive, keeps new collectors engaged, and keeps the hunt for hidden treasures ongoing. So as we close this story of the $43 million dime, let us reflect on how a mistake transformed into a miracle of value, how an oversight became a symbol of opportunity, and how a coin meant to be ordinary became a legend. And for all of you listening right now, the takeaway is simple: never underestimate the power of small details. Always keep an eye on the change in your pocket, because history has a way of hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by someone curious enough to look closely.